Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's InnoAgora webinar, Unlocking Retail Success with Smart Payment Systems. We are honored to have Mr. Panagiotis Karanikas, General Manager at ETBS, as our presenter. He will share valuable insights on how smart payment solutions can drive growth and innovation in the retail industry. Please note that this session will be recorded and a Q&A session will follow the presentation. So feel free to submit your questions in the chat box. I'll now hand it over to Mr. Karanikas, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, George. Thank you for having me here. Welcome, everyone. I hope you will enjoy the content of the webinar and the presentation. My name is Panos Karanikas. I'm the General Manager of EDPS. Before we start the presentation, a few words about EDPS. We are a Greek payment service provider. We serve large retailers, the largest retailers in the Greek market, focusing on intensive retail such as the supermarkets, but also other types of retail in other segments, as well as e-commerce. EDPS is a company with a large customer base. It processes close to 8% of the total value of the Greek electronic transaction market through a relatively small number of POS terminals. Our POS terminals, which are close to 7,000 units at the moment in the field, process a lot of transactions, close to 150 million transactions per year, both financial and loyalty transactions. And these transactions are processed and channeled to the Greek acquirers with whom we are connected. So this comes in hand where there is a strong experience and expertise in serving larger retailers in various segments in the local market. Now, let's deep dive and have a look on the payment industry. Give me a second here. Yes. The payments industry, let's look at some numbers. As of 2023, the global digital market was valued around $9 trillion. These figures, obviously, for 2024 are much higher, as the market is projected to grow with above average growth rate of 13.5%, and with an estimate to reach $28 trillion by 2023. The reason of this growth is driven by several factors. The most important ones are the increased smartphone penetration in all parts of the world. Consider that smartphone penetration is not the same everywhere. So in the developed part of the world, it has reached the saturation and the increase is not high, but there are other areas where there is still a lot to grow. So this contributes to the growth of electronic payments. At the same time, we have the enhanced internet connectivity. The more people are connected globally, the better and the easier reach they have in payments, whatever the payment method is, online, on physical location, through a mobile phone, through a mobile watch, through a QR code. All the payment methods today available contribute in the increase of the electronic payment number. And at the same time, contribution comes definitely from innovations that are happening every year. We see a lot of new solutions coming out from fintech companies, from larger companies, from startups. Don't forget that fintech, and especially the payments part within fintech, is the one that attracts the largest part of VC investment globally. So a lot of money flows into fintech, whatever the status of the companies is. Now, coming back to Greece, the Greek market size in 2023 was 60 billion euros. We expect that this will be higher, more than 70 billion this year for 2024. We expect to get the numbers in the coming months, but it's a market that is growing again with a high average rate. And to this, we have, and in this growth, the contribution comes from, again, the increased smartphone penetration of the Greek population, the new technologies that are available, so contactless is definitely contributing to that, and the fact that people of all ages, of all groups, are now educated and experienced with using either their cards or their smartphones. Overall, and generally speaking, the trends that we see globally is that traditional players have shrunk and new ones are emerging. Banks have been slower to react in the developments into the payments business if you compare it to PSPs and fintech companies. The result of this is that a lot of banks have been already out of the acquiring business, have sold their acquiring businesses to other players, and a series of M&As has already reshaped the European market and probably will continue in the next 18 months. Finally, we see a very strong change and evolution in the way EFT POS devices behave and the technologies that come together with them. Let's have a look on the payments industry in Greece. In the last 24 months, we have seen Greek banks selling their acquiring businesses to global players such as Worldline, Global Payments, Nexi, ePay, etc. We have in Greece very strong companies with global presence like Viva, and we also have emerging companies like EveryPay with a strong presence on e-commerce, trying to get the piece of the market also on the field of in-person transactions. At the same time, it's important to mention that we have global acquirers such as Adyen, such as Molly, a Dutch-based company, MyPOS, already entered the Greek market. And this is worth mentioning because these companies do not have a local presence here. So despite not having a local network to support their business growth, they are entering the market, they see an opportunity, or they come in the Greek market through their global partnerships with larger retailers. Okay, this is an important growth strategy for us, for many larger acquirers who can enter new markets by following their customers. We might have a Greek customer that is present in 6 or 7 different countries. If you are able to serve this merchant outside the Greek market, then you can easily enter new markets. Additionally, we have experienced in Greece the emergence of local payment companies who have a large network of customers, and they focus on this, how to serve them and how to sell added value services, such as Cosmote, such as Tora, and obviously, last but not least, a very strong player emerging the last couple of years is the solution of Iris Payments coming from Vias and the consortium of the Greek banks. Let's look at some payment trends and let's focus on a very interesting topic, which is always the usage of cash versus cards. While the use of digital payments continues to rise, cash is still responsible for more than half of all point-of-sale transactions, according to a study of the ECB. Cash is dominating POS transactions. More than 50% of transactions are done with the use of cash, which is pretty important statistic, which shows that even though we all believe that everyone is paying by card or by a mobile phone or with his smartwatch, people are still using cash in more than 50% of their daily transactions. In terms of value now, cards are still the most dominant payment instrument with a higher share than cash. So people who are spending higher tickets, so for large value transactions, people are using their cards. For lower value transactions, we are using mostly cash. I would say that this is in contrast to what we experience in Greece, where we see a very large increase in the use of cards, also in low value transactions. Okay, and this was the reason why the Greek government took some measures, and part of this was to impose a limit on the fee that acquirers would charge merchants for transactions up to 10 euros. So in Greece, we see that people are using their cards or their phones to pay even for low value transactions. On average, consumers deem cards faster and easier to use, but we consider cash more helpful for managing expenses and protecting privacy. So one of the two main advantages of cash is the anonymity, the protection of privacy, and the expenses awareness, which in my opinion is a bit vague or doesn't hold up to what it says, but it is a statistic. Now, on the other side, card key advantages are obvious. No need to carry cash. Safety, you cannot lose a lot of cash. You can lose your card. That's another topic. Speed and convenience, especially since Apple Pay and Google Pay are now available to most countries. We see that the usage of cash has dropped even further. And for the record, we consider in the payments business the use of Apple Pay and Google Pay, who are considered wallets, we still count them in as a card transaction, because in reality, you are using a tokenized card that is stored in your wallet. Okay, we're going to see later on the differences between some wallets that are available in the market. Let's have a look now on some trends that emerge on a global scale. It's very interesting to see how the buy now, pay later platforms have increased in popularity. The bigger names here, Klarna, global name, Afterpay, a US BNPL provider, ScalaPay in Italy. There are many solutions in every market, in every country. This was a successful experiment where the need of people, of buyers, was served through an innovation, and companies took the risk through complicated risk management platforms to offer these solutions. They are very popular, they are growing a lot, and they contribute in the annual sales of retailers that are using them. We see them also more and more used by large web shops in Greece, and as well as on physical locations very recently. So even though that we consider Klarna to be, or Afterpay or similar solutions available only on e-commerce, now we see them also in physical locations. Account-to-account payments, a very strong trend. In Greece, this is something that has been supported from the government. The last year, Dias has been very successful into pushing the Irish solution in the B2B landscape. And very recently, we see that the expansion of Iris with the goal of having it available on payment terminals, where someone will be able to pay on a physical location with his mobile app, with his banking app, instead of a card. This is good news for the merchants, bad news for acquirers who are going to lose fees from this business. It remains to be seen how the user experience will be, which is always the ultimate criteria when it comes to a payment method. Don't forget that other studies have shown that the card, debit card or credit card, is still the most popular payment method because of the ease to use it. So you take out your card, you tap it, and you go. You take out your phone, you tap it, and you go. If the user, the customer, has to take out his mobile phone, open an app, scan it, read it through a QR, if there are extra steps between step number 1, step number 2, this method automatically drops in popularity. So these are all available, but people are always choosing for the easier and the fastest and the more convenient way to pay.
Mr.
Talking about
Karanikas, I'm so sorry to interrupt. We got a question in the chat which says, is there any evidence as to what is the main reason for the increase in the use of cards over cash for payments in Greece? Is it only about the COVID period, or are there other reasons, in your opinion?
Look, COVID has definitely contributed in the increase of cards. In my opinion, there are the main reason is the popularity and the adoption, the speed of the transaction. Plus that cash is not available as easy as it was before. So as long as people are getting paid through their bank accounts, going to the banks to take out cash or to wait to a line to take out cash is not so popular anymore. You can always go to an ATM and take out money to pay. But since we have at least, or almost everyone has a smartphone nowadays. Okay, a large percentage of the population also carry a smartwatch. So having a smartphone in your pocket means you can pay. You leave your house, you leave your office, you leave your work without taking anything else than your phone and your keys. So that these are the reasons can vary, but the ease of paying with your phone or paying with your card has exceeded the process of going to an ATM and taking cash. The COVID period has contributed in that people didn't want to touch cash for viruses, for transmitting diseases, etc., which is always there. The COVID period just made it worse. In reality, the risk is the same before or after COVID, so not much has changed regarding how dirty cash is or not. So this is definitely something for a topic for another discussion. I would also add that specifically for Greece, the period of the capital controls has also contributed to the change in culture. Okay, because in that period we saw that people had to use their cards. Our access to cash was limited. It's already 10 years ago, but the effect of this is that cards have become very popular. Okay. Plus the increase and the strong boost that that period gave to the e-commerce business together with the COVID period.
Thank you very much. We also got another question in the chat from Mr. Koutsubas, which says, what about the Greek legislation on that area? How that contributed the SWIFT to card payments?
Greek legislation on fiscalization. If it is about fiscalization, we will look at it later. We have a slide dedicated to this. Unless Mr. Koutsubas refers to something else, you can share it with us, Vasilis.
Okay.
I will continue. We can come back to it
for sure.
at any point. So continuing to some trends, I found a very nice, and I would like to share it with everybody. a new technology that is emerging in the States, also in China. I think in China it's already a year since or longer that these devices are operational. This is a picture of a palm payment. So you put your palm, you put your hand on the screen, it reads your palm, and then you can pay. So it's another way of identifying the card owner, the card holder. Now, we see that retailers in the US are embracing new payment methods faster than the EU. And this is worth mentioning because people in the business know that in the United States, payment cards and safety and security was always was lagging behind the EU. So in the EU, we had introduced many years ago, longer than a decade, the chip and pin, while this was not the case in the States. There is a reversal in the trend now. We see that US retailers adopt easier new payment methods, such as this one. Amazon introducing shops with no cashiers and automatic checkouts, for example, is already popular in the States, not, again, as popular in the European Union. And we see that the checkout process is evolving into a more interactive and engaging experience. From POS screens displaying just the price, okay, we see that payment terminals are actually have become marketing devices where they encourage customers to join loyalty programs or run advertisements or run offers of the day. So we see this is the evolution of the payment device, and we're going to look at it later in a couple of slides that I have prepared. The overall sentiment is that US retailers are adopting Android payment terminals faster than European counterparts. This translates into easier integration of value-added services and post-payment customer engagements. Two things very important on how we, acquirers, PSPs, manage to engage customers and merchants at the same time. I will continue if there are no questions so far with the EFT POS industry. And this is more hands-on on terminals and on specific payment methods. Okay, let's see what retailers have to look at when they design a successful payment strategy. First of all, a retailer needs to have an understanding of smart payment technologies. What is the technology? What technologies are available? How my customers as a retailer want to pay? It's very important to offer a seamless transaction in every retail channel. This is what we call an omni-channel experience, meaning that retailers are expected to offer the same seamless or convenient transaction methods, whether it is on physical location, in store, or online, or on a courier, on a mobile terminal. Okay, and these are all important things, for both smaller and larger retailers. An enhanced customer experience helps retailers to increase their revenue, more checkouts, faster checkouts, increase sales through flexible payment methods. When we can adopt BNPL solutions, contactless solutions, when we offer through our mobile app the option for a customer to pay through a digital wallet. We see that the most successful marketplaces in Greece were the first to adopt a mobile wallet payments with Google Pay and Apple Pay. It's much easier for a customer to conclude the checkout if they can pay through their wallet instead of putting the data of their debit or credit card, go through the 3DS process and confirm their payment. It might seem easy. It will take probably 20 or 30 seconds. But on the other side, if you have a mobile wallet integrated in your checkout, with one click, your customer has concluded his checkout payment and he's just waiting to receive his goods. So it's very important to incorporate payment methods that are popular among your clientele, among your customer base. Important topic is always the fraud. People expect to have the most secure payment systems available all the time. And obviously, you have, as a retailer, you need to have a streamlined backend operations that has to do with either inventory management, with customer facing issues. You need to have teams in place to deal with all the issues that are resulting from your operational activities. Common points, pain points for any type of retailer when selecting payment methods, payment providers, and PSP, obviously are the implementation costs, the fees that we have to pay, and to address these challenges, we need to find scalable solutions, and we need to see what is available for in our market, in our business, and select the best. Retailers need to keep always in mind that mobile and contactless payments are growing, so they have to offer these options to their customers. At the same time, they need to incorporate new software, which is using usually AI or machine learning. We see a lot of ML in fraud detection, but also in customer service and customer support. Okay, a lot of chatbots, which for users, they might be good or bad choices, but they definitely contribute into the growth and the better serving of customers. Another important topic for a retailer is the cross-border payment solutions. So if you operate outside the borders and you are active in more than one or two areas, then you need to take into consideration providers that can serve you in more than one countries under one contract. Savings, better experience for your customers, and definitely a better overall management, more efficient management of this part of the business. If there are no further questions on that, let's go and deep dive on developments that we see recently emerging in Greece. A topic that has been keeping busy all of us in payments for the last 18 months was the recent changes of the regulator in the way payment terminals communicate with cashier systems. This is a large and very important shift on the architecture of payments in Greece. Inside the European Union, there are one or two more countries when we have seen similar regulation being activated. And what is happening is that instead of initiating a transaction on a POS device, merchants are now expected or obliged to initiate the transaction on their ECR or ERP system. So the Greek regulator has made a distinction between those two. One big group, and it's what we call the 1098 protocol, where are the merchants with a simple ECR, and the 1155 protocol is the merchants who have an ERP, or to say it more in plain English, PC with an ERP next to their payment terminal. Okay, so these protocols have changed the way we initiate transactions in Greece. The ECR or the ERP initiates the transaction and it transmits the transaction to the regulator's data center, where all transactions are now in one big database, and the local tax authorities can always check everything around receipts and transactions. This development has pushed a good trend of the market into offering all-in-one devices, where today the merchant can replace the traditional, the modular setup of a simple ERP or ECR, a POS next to it, a printer next to it, and the legal fiscalization, let's say, device. So you had at least 4 devices necessary to be able to accept a payment. Today, this whole setup can be reduced to one simple device, where at the same time, the payment application is running together with an ECR, an ERP, excuse me, and those communicate directly with the national database. To make it even more simple, this does not have to be a large ECR device like this one. It can all run on a simple smartphone, if you adopt a soft POS solution with an all-in-one device. So we see that inside maybe 12 months, in less than a year, very smart new solutions are offered from a lot of different payment service providers, from ECR providers. The market has been adopting new solutions and emerging and moving very fast to provide them and make them available to merchants. This is a very good trend for the Greek payments market, where all participants of this ecosystem have been reacting fast, despite the fact that it has been government-led. It all leads to a better operational and better efficiencies of accepting payments and keeping everybody happy. Hand in hand with what we have just seen is the fact that Android devices have been replacing in fast pace devices with legacy operational systems. Globally, more than 50% of devices which are sold are Android-based. This means that screen-only terminals are now available. PSPs and fintechs have already adopted these new devices since 2 years. In Greece, large PSPs have been already offering Android terminals since 2018. So as a market, we have been mature enough to utilize these solutions. There is high level of merchant acceptance, and there are cost efficiencies because these terminals are in practice Android devices, paid Android devices, who run on an Android system, usually come together with an Android marketplace, and a lot of different applications can be uploaded, and these terminals can be managed remotely. So it brings a lot of advantages, both for PSPs, but also for the merchants. Easier control, easier replacements, remote configurations, a lot of advantages for the day-to-day management of payment terminals for the larger retailers. Now, a very popular topic among large and small retailers, soft POS solutions, tap on mobile, in other words. This is a software where a merchant can download on his smartphone, either Android or iOS, making it more accessible to merchants, to merchants who are in lower value businesses to accept payments. Think about fleets of taxi drivers. Think about professionals, of individual professionals, doctors, engineers, do-it-yourself people who are actually need to carry a mobile terminal with them. They can download the application. They can download the software on their payment on their phone, on their smartphone, and they can accept payments. It's very popular solutions, again offered from every provider in the Greek market, that make a lot of professional sectors that would not be able to accept payments, easier for them to do so. This can happen again through a mobile phone, but also it can also take place through a device, through a mobile device. It doesn't have to be a mobile phone. It helps. It also has an environmental aspect. It helps reduce paper for receipts. Okay. There are markets, the countries where paper receipts are abandoned completely, and it has increased a lot the usage of mini POS devices. In Greece, unfortunately, we see that many retailers are still printing both receipts for the merchant and for the customer. Practically, in reality, they do this because they have outdated ECR or ERP systems. In reality, every PSP can offer the same reports with all transactions to the merchant. These are all documented. These are all filed in large databases that are all available for everyone, for the merchants to use, so they don't really need to print them out. We encourage our customers to drop the printing of paper receipts and to use the reports that we provide them in order to get back to the transactions. Soft POS, very popular, and we will see this getting more and more popular in the next periods. New payment types. We are gonna look later on, there was in a previous slide here. Let me go back to this one. We saw we didn't talk about schemes and wallets. So PIX and UPI, these are the most popular payment methods in China and in India. Okay, UPI is in India, PIX is in Brazil, and WeChat Pay is in China, along with some other wallets. What is happening here is that these wallets are not going through the usual payment schemes that are popular in Europe and in the States, which is Visa and MasterCard. And going back to the next slide, why is this important? Because these payment methods are QR based. This means that the customer doesn't take his card out to pay. They either scan a QR code generated on their application on their phone, or the merchant reads with a QR code reader the QR code that is generated on the phone. It's a two-way. Either the user, the customer, can generate the QR code, or the merchant. So this is a payment method that is very, very popular across emerging markets: China, Brazil, India, a lot of African countries at the same time. I believe that it's going to increase in popularity also in Europe. Maybe not so much on financial transactions, but definitely in loyalty transactions, where customers take out their phones and scan their loyalty apps to connect them to their transactions. Another important segment is the unattended. Imagine or think about unattended in self-service solutions. This can be a self-service machine where you can buy a bottle of water, snacks, but we will see them more and more in, for example, the EV industry, in the electronic vehicle chargers. Currently, the providers of chargers have not adopted the unattended devices yet. We see that in Greece, most providers of EV solutions, of EV charging units, prefer to go through an e-commerce transaction. So the customer is obliged to have an account or to set up a wallet with a specific provider, upload money in the wallet, and then use this balance in order to charge her vehicle. The unattended device is definitely an easier way. where with a simple pre-authorization and post-authorization process, any user without having an account or a wallet within the specific provider can tap their card, charge their vehicle, car, bike, scooter, whatever it is, and leave. And the card will conclude with the pre-auth and the post-auth, the charge. It will be one of the trends that we're going to see in the next months also in the local market here. Now, we are going to look on some segments that we serve as a DPS. These are the larger retail segments that we identify and where we focus with specific solutions. A very large segment is the hotel industry, where cashless payments have always been favored in the touristic and the travel industry. It's more convenient, it's safer. People prefer to pay either online or beforehand and not so much on premise. From booking to checkout, we support multiple terminals for different types of payments with specific rooms, with charges in the rooms where a customer can enter a hotel, provide his card, spend in the hotel, and then have a single unique checkout with all the different expenditures that they have done. There are specific solutions for the hotel businesses that are becoming popular among the different providers. Food services, HoReCa, again, hotel, part of hotel, restaurants, cafes, again, the need of cashless payments large. In Greece, we see a very strong trend in restaurants in restaurants, which is the soft POS solutions. Soft POS solutions with separate devices. So large restaurants prefer to have dedicated devices with a soft POS solution on board, where their waiters can accept payments throughout their shops. Either they are on the first or the second protocol of the fiscalization. For the retail and the multi-lane, there are specific solutions available. Here we use mostly desktop terminals with a very fast transaction processing time, so that we can process payments in a fast way, and we can reduce, where possible, the queuing of customers waiting to pay. What is becoming very popular, and it's already offered for a couple of years in the Greek market, and it's an important solution, and I believe that retailers embrace it, is the possibility to accept the payments inside shops through mobile devices or soft POS devices again, so that customers can conclude their checkout with salespeople without the need to go and wait in the queue on the cashier. So with a soft POS device or a payment or a mobile payment terminal, a salesperson can accept a payment, send a receipt with an SMS or an email, and the customer can leave without having to wait in the queue, which improves his experience. Another important business segment, transportation and delivery. Again, this has grown a lot in Greece and in most countries during the pandemic. Delivery became very popular. Marketplaces, food delivery has become very popular, and all courier companies also. Most of the delivery people, most of the drivers are carrying with them either mobile device terminals, or the companies are opting for soft POS solutions, so they can decrease the need to carry different terminals together with them, because usually courier companies are also using PDAs. So there are a lot of new solutions that are helping retailers in this segment a lot. Last but not least, the petrol industry. This is again.
Sorry, Mr. Karanikas, I'm so sorry again to interrupt you. We got another question in the chat,
Sure.
which says, are there any payment methods or providers that allow for cryptocurrencies or stable coins to be used in Greece or Europe as compared to the States?
There are definitely providers. There are definitely solutions, but not widely accepted in Greece or in Europe. We see that there are there are some exchanges, there are some large acquirers that are incorporating crypto. I believe that Revolut is already offering or is about to offer a crypto card, which means that somebody has some crypto on his hot or cold wallet, and this crypto can be exchanged for a fiat currency, and then you can use your card to pay for it. In Greece, we don't experience the growth of accepting a crypto payment as much as in other countries. But I believe it's something that it is a trend, and it will become more popular as we move down the road. Don't forget that there is recently regulation on European level, markets in crypto assets, the MiCA, which is the EU is trying to regulate how exchanges, providers will deal with the acceptance of crypto for day-to-day payments. It's a very interesting topic, and everyone is waiting to see how it will develop.
Thank you. You may continue.
I believe we are close to our Q&A. Car rentals, it's another segment where we focus. So I believe that in conclusion, there are for retailers a lot of different things to consider when looking into payments providers, payment methods. There are a lot of companies to consult. There is a lot of information available. In any case, there are a lot of experts in the market, either in Greece or elsewhere, where the solutions can be offered either tailor-made or off the shelf. I think that the most interesting developments in the markets we are going to see will play around these solutions here, plus all the new things that are coming from the local players. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the attention, everyone. We have time for a Q&A. If there are questions, happy to hear them.
So we got another question I see in the chat. What are the main barriers to widespread adoption of mobile payments among consumers? And what are the main problems for the retail businesses faced today with these new payment systems?
I believe that consumers are adopting mobile payment methods. We have a high adoption rate in Greece, either on smartphones or on wallets or on smartwatches. So PSPs, acquirers have been supplying thousands of terminals. I believe in Greece we have more than a couple of million terminals, if I'm not mistaken, in the market. So in the last 18 months, we see that even point of sales, even in kiosks, in places where they were not expected to have a POS terminal, now they have it. Merchants consider it as a standard practice to offer the POS terminal to a customer to pay, even for small value transactions, even for a bottle of water. We see that a lot of merchants accept to get paid by card. Definitely, we have not reached the rate of the percentage of some Northern European countries, In Scandinavia, for example, there is in specific retail segments, there is a card to cash ratio of around 90-95%. There are specific retail segments where they do not accept cash anymore. So I believe that there are both extremes are today present. There are markets that don't accept cash. There are other markets like in Germany where people do use cash more than cards on their everyday transactions. Or they have been using local payment methods like Sofort. Sofort was mentioned here, I believe. And by the way, there is the EPI, which is the European Payments Initiative, which is which is set up from a number of European banks, and this organization is trying to introduce a common European payment method. Their most recent adventure is the introduction of Wiro. After they bought the Ideal solution in the Netherlands. We still see that this is again limited in 3 or 4 countries, like in the Netherlands, Germany, in Benelux, in Luxembourg. It's not available everywhere, and I'm not sure it's going to be successful. So in Europe, we see a lot of local payment methods, people using cards, but not particularly cards connected to Visa or MasterCard. So it's difficult to unify one European payment method that could replace or could go against Visa and MasterCard. And by the way, talking about Iris, I have this here as an example of fintechs that also fail. Kevin is one of these very recent cases, a very promising fintech startup, having raised close to 100 million euros, introduced in 3 or 4 or even in more European countries a unified way to pay through an account-to-account transaction, but it failed. It failed due to the lack of adoption. So users didn't really embrace the method of payment. So we might think of different ways to pay. We might have very good ideas as established companies or fintechs or new ones. At the end of the day, it is very important to think about the user experience and what the user adoption will be. And fortunately or unfortunately, it has to do with the convenience and security at the same time. It's not easy to compete against the debit/credit card. So in Europe, we will see how this will develop, how local payment service providers will deal with this, how Visa and MasterCard will deal with this, if they will adopt new payment methods and continue to maintain their market share, or if there's going to be one pan-European payment method that will replace the rest. It's a bet. We don't know yet.
Super. Thank you very much. I see that we don't have any other question. So thank you very much, Mr. Karanikas, for such an insightful presentation and for sharing your expertise with us today. We would also like to thank you all for attending today's InnoAgora webinar. We hope you found the session valuable and informative. As a reminder, the recording of today's webinar will be available soon. If you have any further questions or feedback, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you again for being with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.